Hi everyone, welcome to our second webinar about addressing the role of plastic in the event industry. So with us we have Tammy from Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Hello.
We have Howie, Director of Project and Senior Chemist from MBDC.
Hello.
And we have Amy, Director of the Ocean Conservation Policy Strategies from Monterey Aquarium.
Hello.
And I'm Kaylee, I'm the coordinator of Positive Impact Events. So this webinar is to introduce our campaign that Positive Impact is launching. Our campaign is about trying to address the role of plastics in the event industry. There's lots of different things you can do to get involved with this campaign. We have insight panels where you can gather your network to talk about how you can address plastic and how you can reduce them. We have design thinking workshops. We have an app where you can measure the plastics you see at events. And we have our pledge where you can get involved. So our first question is to Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Tammy, so what makes Monterey County the perfect location to inspire this campaign to address plastic within the event industry?
Just starting with our destination, we are a place of inspiration to begin with, and we're really blessed with an incredible natural surrounding. The main reason people choose to visit here and even hold meetings here is because of our beautiful natural environment, the accessible wildlife, the culture that we have here, which is really based in sustainable practices and taking care of the things that make it such a great place to visit and such a wonderful place to live. So it just kind of goes hand in hand, and it's a natural fit that working with amazing partners like the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and even, in fact, our local utilities and other organizations, all focused on sustainable and green practices, with a LEED certified conference center and hotels that are all focused on making sure that they're balancing delivering great service with taking care of our beautiful environment here. It just makes it the perfect fit for our destination to both celebrate the things that are going on here and hopefully to inspire the rest of the world to join us in making sure that the experiences that you can have in our destination, or frankly any destination, are going to be available for generations to come.
Well, thank you, Tammy. And of course, we'd like to thank Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau for joining us and working on the campaign, the support that you've given Positive Impact for the campaign. So you talked about how Monterey is a place of natural beauty. For anyone who doesn't know, Monterey is on the Pacific coast. Is that right, Tammy?
We sure are. We're in the Pacific coast in Central California. We are nestled right on the National Marine Sanctuary of Monterey Bay, and we're about 2 hours south of San Francisco and about 4 hours north of Los Angeles.
Okay. And so I guess that leads us nicely on to the next question. Tammy, you talked about Monterey Bay Aquarium. The Monterey Bay Aquarium is a very well-known aquarium who does a lot of marine biology work. So, Amy, what actions does the aquarium take to address plastic in the ocean?
Thank you. Yes, Monterey is home to the Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. The aquarium sits right on the shores of Monterey Bay, and we get to showcase to visitors all of the beauty below the surface of the ocean, including our amazing kelp forest exhibit and deep sea animals like sharks and bluefin tuna. At the aquarium, we recognize that ocean plastic pollution is a growing problem, and we want to walk the talk and show people that it is possible to take steps to solve this problem. And so we're reducing the use of plastic in aquarium operations, including in our cafe and retail shops, and we're stepping up our recycling efforts. There's now virtually no single-use plastic in our dining operations or special events, and we're sharing best practices with other hospitality partners in Monterey. And we communicate with our visitors and social media audiences about the impacts of plastic and what each of us can do to solve the problem. Every year we have hosted a Plastic Pollution Summit that prepares California teachers to dive into this issue and encourage their students to take action. And we're also working with 20 leading aquariums across the United States to increase our collective action on this issue. In fact, every aquarium, including Monterey Bay Aquarium in the partnership, has already put out plastic takeaway bags, plastic straws, and are phasing out plastic beverage bottles as well. At Monterey, we've already done that. And then at the aquarium, we also support policy as a key tool for conservation, and we have supported at the state level a ballot referendum that kept California's first of its kind plastic bag ban on the books. And we also supported the passage of a plastic straws on request bill. And locally, we have cheered on cities of Cornell and Monterey and others on the peninsula that have stepped up to limit the use of single-use products in our community.
Thank you, Amy. So obviously you work in an aquarium and you talked a lot about single-use plastic. So do you have any stories about single-use plastics where the harm to marine life was really quite visible?
Well, I think a lot of us see almost every day in the news a startling story about especially marine mammals like whales that are found with a lot of plastic trash in their stomachs that has contributed to their death, actually. Animals sometimes eat plastic thinking it's food and either starve or might suffocate because of it, and those are really, really tragic stories. There are also a story that we tell a lot here at the aquarium about the albatross, which makes its home on islands in the middle of the sea, including in one place in the Pacific, the mid-April, which is a small island that's literally covered in small pieces of plastic that the birds have recovered from the surface of the ocean, brought to the beach, or has washed up in the beach. So this problem is ubiquitous. It is ocean-wide. It is starting to impact birds and mammals and fish, that is why the aquarium is interested in solving this problem before it gets any worse.
It really is quite shocking. I read something that a lot of whales think plastic bags are jellyfish. That's one of the reasons why they eat them. Tammy, so if people bring their event to Monterey, what kind of sustainability initiatives will they experience?
You know, in the discussion about single-use plastics, because that's what we're talking about here, Amy's mentioned a few things. We do have ordinances here that restrict local businesses from using plastic straws or single-use plastics in takeout food. We have our plastic bag ban, but sort of on a larger scale, we're very focused on talking to our audiences here, whether they're event planners or just an individual visiting here, about being responsible in their visit. So we're talking about plastics. We're also talking about water conservation. We're talking about courtesy towards wildlife and how not to disturb their habitat. We're talking about staying on the trails and helping people really enjoy their visit in alignment with how our local culture uses our recreation areas, and that's with an ethos of respect and care for the natural environment. We do have a series of green meetings providers. We have advanced event composting for commercial enterprises, our local hotels, that are hosting meetings, etc. Our Monterey Conference Center has recently been mandated and is LEED certified. We have a hotel right adjacent to that, also LEED certified. So we're really focusing on the continuing development of ensuring that when we're hosting events here, that we're doing such in a sustainable way, in a way that's benefiting both the attendee and the people that are enjoying our destination, as well as our local community here, and making sure that it remains just the wonderful place that it is for the next group that comes here and for those of us that live here. So, you know, there's an abundance of opportunities to either become active in those sustainable practices or to be a beneficiary of them. And on our website, we've got even a showcase where we're celebrating so many of the green practices, whether that's solar power or plastic reduction or other reduced waste opportunities that event planners can become involved in here in our community.
That's great to hear. I mean, as we all know, sustainability includes a lot of things. Positive impact, we always work with the UN SDGs, so life on land, life below water, responsible consumption and production. These are all things that, you know, not one's not more important than the other. Everything needs to be addressed. So thank you, Tammy, for your very detailed answer. And so we've talked about single-use plastic and how disruptive to the oceans, to wildlife they can be. This leads on really nicely to our next question, Howie from MBBC. So how long has Cradle to Cradle been working on finding new materials as plastic alternatives? And what success stories can you share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So my firm, MBDC, we founded the Cradle to Cradle certification program in 2005. However, in 1995, the firm was founded as a sustainability consultant for the built environment because one of our founders is an architect. And then we also did some work in the textile industry. So 95 to 2005, doing a lot of consulting, and really identifying material manufacturers that would be willing to investigate down to the molecule the impacts to humans and the environment that the plastics that they were putting out into the world were making. So from 95 to 2005, we set up a nice network of chemical companies, retailers, assemblers, part manufacturers, cleaning product formulators to really get ready for the launch in 2005 of the CDC certification program. The certification program, of course, has lots of metrics for plastic, but it's not just for plastic, it's for all materials, with the idea that if we can identify materials that are first and foremost safe for the biosphere, and then are also designed to be recycled as either technical nutrients through recycling or biological nutrients, things that will interact with the biosphere and need to provide nutrition for the soil. So that paradigm of technical biological nutrients has been leading us toward types of materials really for almost, I guess it's been now 23 years. 23 years. A couple success stories I'd love to share. From the early days, we had a project with Shaw, which is the world's largest carpet manufacturer. It was actually the world's largest flooring manufacturer. And they were interested in getting a product that could truly be recycled and be returned back into carpet again and again and again. So what they did with our guidance and our chemistry and toxicological expertise, they were able to design a carpet that had both the fence fiber that was chemically recyclable. They also developed a carpet backing that traditionally was PVC. They transferred in, or they transitioned into a polyolefin backing, which was much safer, healthier for humans and the environment. And they created a product that both could be not only recycled, was safe, and they also instituted the reverse logistics with a program on the carpet that had an 800 number or website, whatever you wanted, to alert the Shaw team that they needed to pick up some carpet and take it back for recycling. They would do that free of charge and take those raw materials and create the next line of Shaw carpeting or flooring. So in essence, what Shaw was doing was storing the raw materials on the floor of the customers. I think that type of example is a good one to use in the event industry, because not only do we talk a lot about sort of the short-term use plastics, but we also are relying a lot on structures made from different types of polymers, and in some cases need to be constructed and deconstructed quickly. So I think the cradle-to-cradle design paradigm fits very well in the event industry for plastics, as well as additional materials.
Thanks, Howie. Yeah, you mentioned carpets, and carpet's actually a key issue in the events. I think a lot of people don't realize just how polluting they can be. Something you don't really think about, but obviously everything has an effect. So Cradle to Cradle and MBDC are working with Positive Impact. Our event sustainability app is gathering data about where plastics are found in events, and then we're going to use this data to work with Cradle to Cradle to come up with alternatives. So Howie, what are your hopes for this project working with us?
Yeah, well, yeah, as I mentioned before offline, I'm really excited about this project just for personal reasons. I think it's such an important problem in our current sustainability crisis globally. I think that I guess I would say my hope for the project is to help create a blueprint for event planners anywhere for any type of event to identify materials and products that have been third-party verified to be not only safe and healthy for the biosphere and for humans, but also materials that have a what's next story already attached to them, so that we get out of this mess of microfibers and microplastics and all these fugitive plastics that are getting out into the biosphere that have not been designed as such. So I'm hoping that we can design a blueprint for material optimization in all types of industries, and I'm hoping that that will be a public resource, not just a client-specific resource.
Thank you, Howie. I think this is really important. Obviously, Positive Impact. We work to create a sustainable event industry by 2020, and the events industry is as big as agriculture in the UK. Agriculture has its own governmental department, but the events industry really doesn't have anything regulating. So it really is up to events planners, not-for-profits like us, and obviously innovators and destinations to really take the initiative. So thank you, everyone, for really being in action on this. So Positive Impact, we went to a UN Environment talk with the Association of British Professional Conference Organisers, also known as ABCO, and who are the UK's leading professional body for association, conference and events. And in this talk, they basically identified 4 things which the hospitality industry really needs to take action on to be sustainable. The first thing was plastic usage. Obviously, everything that we just talked about, single plastic, not recycling them properly, ending up in the ocean, as Amy said, really harming wildlife and seabirds. The second thing was sustainable food procurement, which is so important in hospitality, but also for events. Every event there's food, and people don't think about the supply chain, where all this food is coming from, and that is very important. Refrigeration, which is kind of a weird concept. I think a lot of people don't actually realize, but what does the cooling fluorinated gases, and these were banned in the Montreal Protocol, and it worked so well. CFCs were banned, but now CFCs are used. and if refrigeration mechanism, if fridges and air cons aren't disposed properly, these gases leak into the atmosphere, and they have actually a lot higher warming potential than carbon dioxide. So there's a real issue that a lot of people don't know about. And lastly, circularity in the supply chain. So this means things not being used and then thrown away. That is a linear economy, which, it's not responsible production and consumption. That is one of the reasons why plastic pollution is such an issue now, because things are just being thrown away once they're used. A circular economy makes sure what is produced goes back and is reused, which is really a key issue for sustainable industry. So, I guess this will be a question for Tammy, as working in a destination which is a big part of the events industry. What are your hopes for the future for the events industry?
My hopes are similar to everyone else's. I think as solutions become more readily available, I think that we will see a more rapid adoption of much more sustainable or environmentally friendly practices. And for us, we hope that we see, in particular, single-use plastics and the use of plastics in the event industry reduced and ultimately eliminated, recognizing that we've got some work to do on making those alternatives available and helping people understand what they are. And it's a great journey to be on, and it's a really important one to embark upon, and we're really happy to be a catalyst in that. Our hope is that event planners will begin looking for those solutions as well, and start demanding that of the supply chain, so that those solutions, the development of those solutions, accelerate a little bit more. We know that customer demand will help create that change. So this is such an important subject for everyone, and it's a big one. Plastics haven't been in use for a long time, but it's funny how dependent people think they are on them. And I think that we can find a way to go back to basics and find other solutions, and ultimately have the events industry lead the way in eliminating single-use plastics and reducing greenhouse gases, and ultimately being a great solution for the planet.
Thank you, Tammy. I agree. We are super reliant on plastics, and we don't have to be. My dad used to say when he was younger, he would go buy things from the shop and they'd wrap them in newspaper. Plastic bags wasn't a thing, but now, everywhere you look, there's plastic. So thank you, Amy, Howie, and Tammy, for being on this webinar with us. Thank you for your support, Monterey County Convention Visitors Bureau, and for being such a role model in the event industry. A couple of things you can do to get involved with Positive Impact's plastic campaign. You can sign our pledge on our website. Let us know you want to make a difference, and really be in action on that. You can lead a design thinking workshop to spread your knowledge and to ideate ideas on how you can address the role of plastic in the event industry. You can create your own insight panel. You can, with the materials on our website, and you can also use our app, so we can gather data on plastic in the event industry, which surprisingly has not been done before, and we can work with cradle to cradle to find sustainable alternatives. So thank you everyone for listening. Thanks. And thank you, Amy, Howard, and Tammy, for joining us on this webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah.